Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. Today is going to be my review on the Too Faced Pumpkin Spice collection. I have both the palette and the lipstick. I got mine through HSN. They had it as a bundle. I think you only saved like $1 or $2 getting it through HSN. And I went to look the other day because I was going to put the link in this video and I don't even see it on HSN. And then I realized like this is going to be available on Ulta, Too Faced website. So this is not an HSN exclusive like the last 2 years have been. So that's something new, along with the shape of the palette. This is more chocolate bar-esque, where the other two, previous ones were not. This video is just going to be on these two items. I will be doing a part 2 where I compare this palette to the last 2 years palettes, because I still have them, and the collections, because those both came with lip glosses and mascaras. So I will review all 3 collections. So there will be a part 2 at least, and then I'm thinking about doing a 3 looks 1 palette. So make sure you are subscribed so you don't miss out on part 2 at least. But yeah, I'll open it up. We'll do swatches. This is the look that I did. I will show you swatches of this lipstick versus the one that was in their holiday collection 2 years ago, so we can see if they're the same. And yeah, I'll give you my final thoughts at the very end. So if you want to see the pumpkin spice palette along with the lipstick, swatches, the look, the whole 9 yards, then just keep okay. So here is the outer packaging. It looks almost identical to the palette. And then there's the lipstick. This was the bundle on HSN. Now this is not an HSN exclusive palette. And I'm gonna have to contact customer service because my lid is not attached properly to the palette. The pin is sliding across and I can't get it to connect. I've been fiddling with it for about 10 minutes, but I'm just gonna see, here's the pin that goes in the lid. So you can see at some point, like, it will lock in there. I just haven't been able to get it to slide. Anyways, so I'll contact customer service, but I ordered mine through HSN. So here's the inside of the palette. We're going to use it, and I'll probably fiddle around with it later and see if I can fix it. But this is what she looks like. So as I said in the intro, this is just going to be on this palette. We're going to swatch it, and then I will do a look. And then I will do a part 2 where I compare this collection to the previous 2. The last 2 years have been HSN exclusive. This one was available on HSN for a couple of days, I think. And then it will be available on Ulta and on Too Faced website, so you don't have to go through the Home Shopping Network. But let's swatch it. So I'm gonna do live swatches just down my arm, and then we'll do the look, and then I'll do final thoughts. So yeah, definitely you'll want to be subscribed for part 2 where I compare all 3 palettes. So the first shade we have is Whipped Cream. I don't have anything on my arm, so there's that. I'm just going to go completely row by row. So then we have Crisp, it's a light pink shade. Let's go in with that again. Generally I just do 1 swipe, but I do want them to show up. We have Fall for it, and Pumpkin Spice. I would say this palette kind of has kind of a spicy smell, but it doesn't smell like the gingerbread, and I don't think it smells like pumpkin spice. We have Ginger Spice. I'm gonna look more closely at this palette. I saw in comments that people thought it looked like the gingerbread spice palette, or maybe the extra. I don't own the extra spicy palette, but I will take a closer look at my gingerbread spice palette, and if it compares, I'll do a 3rd video. Then we have Cocoa Drizzle right there, and this Crisp shade's got some shimmer to it, but that was the only shimmer in that row. Now we're going to get into some more shimmers. We have Fall Vibes, which definitely feels a little more foiled, a little flakier. Sweet Pie, right there. Then we have Falling for You. Spice, Spice Baby, right there. You Spicy, it's kind of a cranberry shade. And then I'll do one more and then we'll do the last row on the other side. And then Warm and Cozy, right there. Okay, so let's jump in. We'll do the last row on this side. We have Oh My Gourd. I feel like that was a shade name from one of the last palettes, but I'll have to really, this literally just came in the mail, so I haven't really looked. This one is A La Mode. We have Want a Piece of Me. I'm a little thrown off because I was trying to fix the lid on my palette. That's a pretty shimmer. That one's a little flaky too. We have Love You a Latte. So definitely stick around for part 2 and I'll really compare the palettes. That'll be coming up. PSL and Chill. This is a pretty like duochrome purple, at least in the pan. It's swatching a lot sheerer than it looks. There's a second pass. And then Spice of Life. This deep like eggplant. So there's the last row, lots of purples, and then there's that. So that is the entire palette. So I'm going to clean this up and then we'll get into it. So we're going to recreate what I started doing on the other eye. I just have some concealer on my lid. I'm just going to tap it out. It's creasing. I'm just using the e.l.f. The regular camo concealer. I don't like it for under my eyes, but I do like it for on my lid. So to start off, we are going to go in with Falling for It right here. And I am just going to be using a little Luxie tapered blending brush with that shade. And we're going to put that in the crease to start. I decided I didn't want to do a pumpkin spice look because I feel like that's what everybody's going to initially be doing with this palette. So when I do my part 2, I'll do a different look. And then we can even do a 3 looks 1 palette with this later on. But I wanted to use some of the non-pumpkin shades. And then I just have a color switch here also. So then on just a little Sigma E25, I'm going to go in with PS and Chill, which is the really pretty like magenta-y shade. There's a shade in the Gingerbread Spice that kind of looks like that, and I use that shade a lot. This one's a little more on the cranberry side. It's not as pink as the shade in the Gingerbread Spice, but I can see why people are comparing because there are some, you know, like a couple of pinks and some purples in here, but there are definitely, I can tell you already, there are different shades, at least to the original Gingerbread Spice. Like I said, I don't have the extra spicy palette, so some of the shade, like this mustard shade, look, these little ones up here look like they could be in that palette, but I like my original Gingerbread palette, and the extra spicy one just wasn't like super appealing to me. I didn't feel like I needed both, so that's why I never got it. But I do think people that there are some people that did like it. So I'm just putting that in the crease and I'm trying to blend it up a little bit. This shade, when I swatched it, was a little dry feeling. It is one of those where if you blend it too much, you can see in here it does start to kind of diffuse and dissipate if you over blend it. But like I said, it did feel drier compared to some of the other mattes in this palette, so I think that's why it's kind of behaving like that a little bit. So then I'm going to go back with the blending brush, and we're going to go into Love You a Latte, which is this pretty, like, it doesn't look as mauve on camera as it does in person. It looks very mauve toned. I'm going to come in here and just blend that into that cranberry color. So you can see it's starting to diffuse that, but there's a little bit of a line, like it blends into it a little bit. It's not like a nice blend, I guess what you would say. And then we're going to go into A La Mode. It did come together at the end, but I did have to go back and add more of You Spicy shade. Just looking to make sure I'm calling these the right names. So yeah, we're going to go back in to the cranberry, and I'm going to put it up a little higher and try and get it to blend in better. And I'm putting a little bit more back into the crease. Yeah, it's a pretty shade, but it definitely isn't as easy to work with as the one in the Gingerbread Spice palette. Definitely different formula happening here. Okay, see, I think that looks pretty, but it does take some work to get it there. Okay, and then under the brow bone, there isn't a really good like shimmery brow bone shade, so I went in with Whipped Cream because I normally do not like a matte brow bone highlight. And then I took a little bit of Oh My Gourd, this like light shimmery pink, just so that it's not completely matte under there. And then I just cleaned off the Sigma brush and went in with a little bit more of A La Mode, just so that it's blended into that highlight. I think I did more on this side than I did on this side, so I'm just going to try and make them look the same. Okay. Then, well, I did this last, but I'll do it right now since we're already, I took a little bit of Spice of Life, this like plummy shade, and I just took a tiny bit in the outer, like bottom corner, just a little bit, just to kind of deepen it up a tiny bit, and then just made sure it blended in just a touch. Okay, so for the lower lash line, I just have like a flat smudger brush. This is a Jessup brush. You can get them on Amazon. I went in with Fall Vibes, which is this pretty like green gold shade. This one's very flaky. But it's pretty. This almost flaky metallic formula was in the Pumpkin Spice palettes the last 2 times. Okay, and then I cleaned it the same brush, and then I went into Falling For You, which is, it's another like green shade. I would say it's a shimmer, but it's not as metallic as that first one, and I just went underneath. And then I took the brush that I did the brow bone highlight just to clean it up. Okay. We're gonna go in with a flat brush and a little bit of concealer, and I'm gonna put a tiny bit back on my lid just because I tried to go in with the shimmer just as is and it didn't want to cling. Normally I would use a glitter glue, but we're getting ready to go out of town and I have it packed. So I wanted something slightly, you know, tacky for it to stick to. So the wet concealer does the job. So if you don't want to use concealer, you can definitely just use a setting spray, glitter adhesive, whatever you want to use. So it was the Oh My Gourd shade that we put a little bit under the brow bone, and I initially went in with my finger to make it a little more impactful. My eyes are hooded, so you can see I got a little bit of concealer up there, but I'll fix it here in a second. Because you can see when my eyes are open, you can't tell. And then we'll go back in with the brush on that same shade. You know, when I tried to go in with that shade initially with just the brush, it just didn't lay down very much. It looked much better when I went back over it with concealer and then used my finger. Okay, and then on the outer edge, we're gonna use a little bit of You Spicy. And then a little bit of A La Mode. And then I took a little bit of PS and Chill, that like pretty lavendery, and just with my finger put a little bit where the initial shimmer starts to meet. And you can't even really see it. I can in the mirror. It changes it a tiny bit out there, but it's not like screaming purple to me. Let me go in. Try and fix where I put the concealer. Make sure we're not doing it on this side. It's a common problem. Like I said, my eyes are hooded, so it happens. If I can't completely clean it up, you can't see it when my eyes are open, and that's pretty much it. I tried to keep it really, really simple, and like I said, I wanted to use some colors that weren't necessarily pumpkin spice. So let me do liner and lashes. We'll put the lipstick on camera, and then I'll give you final thoughts on the collection. So this is the lipstick. It's also, it says it smells like pumpkin spice, and it's in the shade Pumpkin Spice. I did have a little bit of fallout that I forgot to clean off. Nothing major, and most of it was from that initial, like that flaky gold shade. The others weren't bad, but I just have, I think the Balm Schwing liner on. These are House of Lashes, and then just the Too Faced Better Than Sex mascara on. I need to get a new tube. It's starting to dry out a little bit, but here is the full-size lipstick. I do have the mini from the holiday set 2 years ago. It looks like it's the same shade. We're gonna swatch them really quick, and then I'll use the full size. There's the mini from last year. I did wear this in a video recently. I do like that shade. It doesn't bother me to have two. I'll put the smaller one in my purse. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's the same shade, but we're gonna go ahead and put it on. This one has a little more of a pumpkin pie smell than the palette. The palette does have, like I said, a slightly spicy smell, but not necessarily pumpkin pie. But I didn't really think the gingerbread palette smelled like gingerbread. Some people thought it did. It had kind of a sugar, or like a snickerdoodle kind of a smell, almost like a spicy sugar cookie, but I wouldn't necessarily say it smelled like gingerbread. The lipstick, however, does smell a little more like pumpkin pie. I do like this one, so yeah, I'll put the small one whenever we don't have to wear masks all the time in my makeup bag that I keep in my purse. But I do like these. I do like their formula. It's a comfortable matte formula, and it does dry down completely, so there's no transfer. It's not quite as orange as like Ofra's Miami Fever. This one definitely has more brown in it, so I feel like this is a very wearable, like brown autumn shade. But the Ofra ones don't dry down completely, so a lot of times I will go for the Too Faced ones just because there's not going to be any transfer. But I do really like that shade, so I'm happy to have another one, because again, mine is from like 2 Christmases ago. So it's older, it's small. It's definitely a little drier than my new one, but it still works. So I'll keep it until it completely goes, since I do have 2. But yeah, so this is the finished look. Let me know what you guys think. But as far as the palette goes, it's a pretty color scheme. As far as stuff that I like to reach for during the fall, it is very fall-esque. The shimmers, like this one and this one, seem like they're going to be a little finicky. What is it? Oh My Gourd and PS and Chill. You Spicy is a little bit on the drier side, so you saw I was having some blending issues with it. The formulas definitely, from the shades that I used as far as this goes, this one's not as good as the magenta shade in the Gingerbread Spice. I don't, in my personal opinion, don't feel like they're the same formula. That one blends a lot better. That's probably the shade that I use the most out of that palette. So I'm familiar with the workability of it. And this one's a little bit harder to work. It's drier, so it doesn't want to blend as well. And when you do get it to blend, it you can over blend it and it disappears. And I'll have to use it more, because we did only use like the pinks and the mauves. When I do my part 2 where I compare all 3 pumpkin spice palettes, I'll use some of the browns and oranges, and then I do want to try and do a 3 looks 1 palette, because that will really give me a definite, more clear idea how I feel about it. I will say, like, I don't by any means dislike this palette. I am going to use it. Do I think you need to run out and get it? Not necessarily, not unless this color story really speaks to you. I don't think you'll be upset, but just know from first use with this shade and this shade, it doesn't necessarily perform like the other chocolate bar palettes. So, and that's something that has been happening with Too Faced. There is inconsistencies within some of their palettes. Some work better than others, and their chocolate bar shaped ones are generally good. So it could just be that one shade. I need to use this purple more. I just used it a tiny bit, so I can't really say 100% that this one's being finicky. I'll have to try and do a look with it completely in the crease for me to get an idea, but so far I don't think it's bad. I don't think you would be mad. Some of the shimmer shades that they chose I think is a little bit odd, but yeah, I definitely don't hate it. Again, I will be contacting HSN and letting them know that my lid came off when I took it out, but other than that, I don't have a whole bunch of gripes about it yet. So yeah, definitely make sure you are subscribed so you can check out part 2, because you will, if you got any of the other palettes, that's really going to tell you if you need this one. We'll really look at the oranges and the pinks and the mauves and really compare, talk about formulas between the 3, because you can still get last year's and the year before's. They're available on like Poshmark and eBay. I think last year's palette was still on HSN for a little bit. I don't know if it's still on there or not, but you can get them through like Poshmark and eBay. So if you were wanting them, check out those kind of sites if you're wanting to pick it up. And yeah, thank you guys so much. Hopefully this was a little bit helpful as far as whether, like, if you're thinking about picking it up or not. Like I said, I'm not mad that I have it. I'm a little bit confused why it's not an HSN exclusive, why they went with the chocolate bar shape and not the square. There's definitely some formula changes happening within it from their other chocolate bar palettes, and also the last 2 years palettes. I'm already seeing some formula differences, but Too Faced is known to change up the formula from time to time, so that's not completely outside the norm for them. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. Again, make sure you're subscribed. There will be more videos coming on this palette, past collections. And yeah, hopefully you guys stay safe, have a wonderful rest of your day, and hopefully I will see you in another video very soon. Bye everybody.